Dork, back again. You know I'm coming at you live from my Data Cathedral studios here in sunny Gainesville, Georgia. I got a guy from the entire opposite end of the spectrum, especially for weather. My buddy David Frericks. How are you today, Dave?
Doing well. Hey, bright sunny day outside. We don't get a lot of these up here in Washington, so we're gonna enjoy the heck out of it.
Good for you, man. I got the rain and clouds you're used to seeing, so I guess we balance the two of us. Dude, I understand you got an issue. You're trying to get some surveys from some people. Is that right?
Yep. We got this hospital system up here, and had a whole bunch of patient surveys, and we're committed to doing a better job, and we need to process them. So, you got the sample of our data, and hopefully it's not too big a problem to overcome, right?
Not a problem at all. Just like you could read these in Excel, I'll let you just read those surveys. You've only got like 1,200,000 customers that have been surveyed for each one of their visits. Shouldn't be too hard for you to sit and read those at all, Dave.
Well, they look pretty easy so far. I mean, nurses were attentive and kind. I had to wait too long for that. That's pretty simple. As long as they're easy like this, I shouldn't have a problem, right? A good thing there's nothing hard. Oh, there that looks harder.
Well, you did, man, because for some reason your patients weren't given the memo. They should make it really easy to read. And they kind of mixed ideas and thoughts and used their own wording. But there's only a couple million, so I'm sure again you can read these and you'll make all the right
Uh,
decisions based
how
on that.
a couple million you say? Hold on. Let me go see if I can consult, see if we got an army of interns I can put on this. Just what
That would be a great project for them.
Apparently we don't have the budget for an army of interns. Okay, so what are we going to do? How are we going to solve this with millions of surveys trying to identify this? I can't read through all of this, and
Yeah,
I don't have my army of interns. What am I going to do, Dalton?
man, that is a common problem, Dave. There's an awful lot of health systems that they just ignore this data, believe it or not. There's companies that sell products that ignore this unstructured survey data, and instead they focus on numbers. Don't give me your comments, Mr. Patient. Just give me a number because I can aggregate up the number.
Okay,
And
well
so
give me a
what?
number. Give me a number, Dalton.
Well, I'll give you a number. That's a great thing. When you're dealing with these things, we call that number from their comments sentiments. And so it runs through some artificial intelligence and gives you the number that you're looking for. Da-da! You don't need an army of interns to read all those anymore.
Okay, I got numbers. I don't have any idea what these numbers mean. Can you? I see a 0.11. Is that good? Is
Oh
that
man, Dave,
bad?
I didn't even think about that. Like you started by just telling me you wanted to read the surveys, so I let you see them. Then you whined about reading surveys because there's going to be too much. You wanted a number that would make your life easy, and now you're telling me that maybe there's some AI literacy and data literacy issues here. I should have had the foresight to see that.
Well,
Um,
I mean, I'm looking at this and I've got a 0.11 and I've got a -8 and a 0.87. Is that on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5 or 1 to 100?
It is
How?
on a scale of -1 to 1. So the
Okay.
negative would be your negative sentiments. And so they do the math that way that negative is a negative number. Point one would mean they had nothing good to say about you at all. They were totally irate, li completely livid, losing their mind. That would be a -1. Praising you, just singing your praises with nothing at all negative, not even any words that be construed anything negative other than great, awesome, super. That would be a one. The average sentiment takes all of those things into play, right? And so a 0.11 means that the average sentiment was positive, which is always a good thing. So if your health system, you set a goal to be 10% positive overall, then man, you'd be collecting your bonus for the quarter.
Well, that's helpful, but that that doesn't tell me where the problems are. It
Uh-oh.
tells me I'm slightly above average, which is good,
You
but
got
I
your
want to do
bonus.
better.
Just be happy with getting the bonus, Dave.
Yeah,
Why do
but
you got to go looking for problems? Are you trying to get better or something?
we have a commitment to excellence. So we want to do better, but this doesn't this is great. This is a KPI without any action.
There
What do
you
I do with
go.
this?
Dude, I like the way you think, Dave. And I've been fortunate to get to work with some customers who are like, yeah, we hit the goal, but we're going to make a more aggressive goal next year. So how do we improve so that we can raise the goal that we had? Well, one of the things that I suggest, since you don't have an army of interns out there who'd go read through all those, put little post-it notes on every page, try to, figure out how to classify those, is a way that we would use artificial intelligence to actually process the text that's part of the survey. As I got started with this, I found a lot of different ways I could do things, but the problem was when I'd pass it one survey, I'd get a really nice response. When I pass it the second survey, I'd get a different response. I ended up researching and came up with this thing called emotional dyads. I'm sure you and your family talk about emotional dyads every day at the dinner table, right?
Okay, you got me here. What exactly is that? Where did it come from? Because it sounds cool.
So emotional dyads are a way to classify things together and try to get the emotions out of what was in the text. So it's not just trying to find keywords like this was about a chair or this was about budgeting or this was about my arm or this was about the door not working. It's a way to try to get the emotions out and classify the emotions from what the patient is saying rather than just text categorization. The reason I ended up going with this one is because you used that word action, and I love that word. I talk about that word all the time. Our goal with this is to help you, Dave, get people to get out of their chairs. What I don't want to do is send every executive in the company these sentiments to say, "Hey, this was a pretty low sentiment. Take action." They're all going to read it and be like, "What?" The chief nursing officer is going to say, "What does that got to do with me?" And the physician's going to say, "Well, what does this got to do with me?" And your medical officers are going to say, "What's this got to do with clinical care?" And the administrators are going to say, "What's this got to do with administration?" And we're going to say it had nothing to do with any of that, right? So I broke those things out so that rather than looking at just an overall score or just the text, the chief nursing officer or the chief medical officer could see the words that were related to their business units. And so they could come in here and say, "Hey, joy and trust, fantastic. I love it. Let's go to lunch now." They would see something like disgust, sadness, anticipation, annoyance would be like anxiety, grief, and they would be able to then interact with these surveys, not reading millions of text, reading the text that emotionally connects to them emotionally. And so I chose this emotional dyads because one of the things I talk about in storytelling is you should do something that's going to relate to them, cause and evoke emotion that'll get them out of their chair. And
So
so
let me
now they
ask
can
you.
focus just on the surveys about that so that they know what they might need to do to improve.
So let me ask you a question here because we've done some AI and some ML in the past. I just gave this data to you a few days ago. Normally, we'd have to go and we'd have to build models and we'd have to train them and then we'd have to iterate and we'd have to do some data work. And it takes 6 to 8 months to get a working model to get basic classifications on words. How is this possible? You did it just a couple days.
Dude, well, I tell you what, if you had a giant budget, I would tell you that I've got an army of data science interns and we worked through the nights. We just kept drinking Mountain Dew and eating Snickers, never slept. But the truth is, this was actually quite easy. All I did was take your data that you gave me and run it through a Qlik Talend data pipeline. And so all a pipeline is here, because I know you're not familiar with this yet. We take data from a source. In this case, I loaded your data into SQL Server. This could be coming from one of your cloud vendors where they do the surveys for you. It could be CSV files. In this case, it's a SQL Server. It pulls the data and then I land it, which means I'm just making a copy of it. The neat thing about this is it works with change data capture. So if you keep adding more and more surveys, it's going to recognize those, pull those over. Every few minutes, it would then batch these things into storage, but they would always be available near real time that I could read. The final step was, ooh, geez, Dave doesn't just need the survey ID, the patient name, and the text. We want to do some work. Well, one of the things we have in the pipeline is visual transformations. And so in this visual transformation, I'm going to take the surveys as they come in, and I want to do some evaluation on them. One of the things that we do is the AI, that magic sentiment. I literally come in here and I click, I want sentiment. I don't want it translated into different languages. I don't need it summarized. I don't need a classification on it. I just want you to give me the sentiment and I want you to store that in the sentiment column. And then I come in and for the SQL, it is actually push down SQL. So I'm building what I want to have happen that is going to be pushed down into my buddies at Snowflake Cortex. Um, and they've built this kind of wrapper they call Cortex that fits around lots of different AI and lots of different large language models. And so all I'm asking it to do is go do a complete where I'm passing it this statement. Aggregate up the comments in a list of primary, secondary, or tertiary dyads. And oh, by the way, I want you to hyphenate those with a hyphen. And by the way, don't start making words up that you think are emotions. Don't hallucinate. I only want you to use Plutchik's Wheel of Emotions, which I'm sure you've got a poster of that hanging
I,
on your
I
wall.
remember that from Psych 101.
There you go. And so you've got that. And by the way, I want you to break those things out, not overall, because how am I going to get any one officer out of their chair? Break that up by nursing staff, physicians overall, clinical care, administration, food quality, room cleanliness. If any of those don't exist, ignore them. So part of this was a little bit of time that I had to do into my prompting here, right? There was some trial and error for me. The good news was it didn't take days with armies of data science interns. And what happens then is we take the comment and we run that thing. So I can show you a little visual here. I love the nurses, but the administration process wasn't there. What would you do with that?
Right.
And
So I'm guessing it would be positive for the nurses, but then a negative on maybe overall clinical care.
exactly. And so that's the beauty of this is it will break down even, and there was food quality. I just didn't
Oh,
upload
gotcha.
it,
Okay.
didn't parse through here enough to show you the whole thing. It would give me all these. And what I want to do finally is show you an example. This is Snowflake's query history. I'm literally just looking through at what came across. It is nothing but SQL. It's just Snowflake SQL um, to show you, hey, it's going to call this thing. Here's the information that's going to be passed across. And it shows you what the output would be. So you can track all of this
Wow.
and see and learn from it. If you wanted to take this, you could literally just copy this thing, paste it into a query window for a project, and start tweaking it. And that's all I did. I got started, I tweaked it. Then I came and I copied that and I pasted that back in here because what we're doing is just simply push down SQL. How do you think that's going to work for you?
That's fantastic because I said we've got SQL people, we got database administrators, we got people that know business intelligence, and But we don't have a room full of Python programmers, and everything we've heard so far about AI was like it's got to be Python and all these big programming exercises. We can do SQL. Wow, what a great feature by Snowflake, and that Qlik can just interact directly with that and do all this really fascinating manipulation of data around emotionals. And I love how the fact that you are essentially telling it how not to just make stuff up by giving it the instructions not to do that. That's pretty cool. I've never seen that before.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm recording this, Dave, so that I can write that down. That'll be on our marketing flyer. But you guessed it. That's essentially what we're doing is we're taking your data integration pipelines, we're embedding AI right into it so that as the data is changing, you can run the AI rather than always needing to do these things in batch. And then we're visualizing that structured information that came out of these unstructured comments in business intelligence. We're giving you AI, DI, and BI. And if you buy in the next 30 seconds before we hang up from this call, I'll even throw in a Mountain Dew for you, buddy.
Oh, that is sweet. And I'm going to need that because I'm going to take this information straight to the heads of my departments and to the board. And I think we're going to be able to make those changes that we've been hoping to do. And now we know where to focus. So, man, thank you so much, Dalton. This is amazing.
My pleasure, buddy. Let's do business.
All right. Sounds good. Until next time.